One of my favorite European or Italian soda flavors is blood orange. I love that unique citrus flavor that it has. And I realized I had never put that flavor inside of a cake. That's all changing today, right here. The first thing we need to do is pre-mix our dry ingredients. So I have my flour here. I'm going to take my baking powder and my salt and just put that in another bowl and just take a spatula and just mix it all together. And you could just stir and just make sure you have a nice mix. And we're gonna set this aside because we're gonna use this a little bit later. So now that our dry ingredients are pre-mixed, we're gonna start making our batter in our mixer. And you're gonna start with your butter. So you're gonna take all of that butter and add to your mixer. Get it all in there. All right, we're gonna mix this butter on medium until it's smooth and nice and creamy. All right, my butter is nice and creamy. I'm gonna scrape down the sides of my bowl because your butter does tend to collect on the sides of your bowl. And just scrape that down. And now we're gonna take our sugar and we're gonna cream our butter and sugar together. So I'm gonna add all the sugar to my bowl. And we're gonna mix that again on medium until it's nice and combined. So our butter and sugar are all combined. I'm just gonna once again scrape down the sides of my bowl. And now I'm going to start adding in my eggs. So I'm gonna add my eggs in probably about 2 at a time, which will give, since there's 5, it'll give me 1 at the end. So I'm just gonna take 2 of my eggs, pop in there, and then we're gonna mix those on medium in between each addition. So I'm gonna add in my last egg. And we're gonna mix that egg on medium once again until everything's nice and combined. All right, my eggs are all mixed in. So I'll do a light scrape of the bowl. And now we're gonna add in our Greek yogurt. Just get that all in there. And I'm gonna mix that once again on medium, just a quick mix until that's combined. All right, we have that all mixed in. So now we're gonna add our blood orange zest. And I'll just add that with my fingers to get all of that zest in there. Our blood orange juice, freshly squeezed. Our vanilla, and our Grand Marnier. That's optional, by the way. It really brings out the orange flavor in your cake, but you don't have to use it. It's optional for you to use. And we're gonna mix that on medium until it's nice and smooth. All right, that's done. And it's totally normal if your batter starts to look like it's separating. That's the citrus and the butter. It'll all come together once you start adding in your flour, which we're gonna do now. And I'm not going to add all the flour in at once. I'm just gonna do about half of the flour first, get a nice mix, and then add the remaining. So we're gonna add half of the flour, mix on medium until it's nice and combined. So I'm gonna finish up adding the last of my flour. Get all of it in there. And we're gonna mix the remaining flour on medium until it's nice and smooth. You may need to scrape down the sides of your bowl before you add in this flour, but just make sure you don't have a lot of batter pushed up against the sides. All right, so our batter is nice and smooth. And our last step is to add in our Italian or European soda. Okay, I'm gonna give the sides of my bowl one last scrape. Make sure everything's pushed down in there. And then we're gonna fold in our Italian or European soda. And the difference is, you're probably wondering, like, what's the difference between an Italian and European cream soda? What I find, there's less carbonation. There's usually a natural fruit juice flavor to it. So it's a little smoother. It's not like a Coca-Cola or soda you would drink where you get that highly carbonated, sugary drink. It's almost like a carbonated fruit juice, in my opinion. So we're gonna fold that in because we don't wanna lose that carbonation. It'll help with more of the rise of our cake. So I'm gonna pour that in and fold it into the batter to combine, because it's gonna act like a rising agent in our cake, as well as giving us that nice blood orange flavor. So now it's time to scoop our batter into our well buttered and floured Bundt pan. And I like to scoop it in so I get it nice and even, and I don't get it all over the sides. I find when I pour it in, it can sometimes cake up on the sides, and that's where you get, you know, the cake can burn and stick to your pan. So I find spooning it in, it's a little bit more controlled, and you get the batter exactly where you want it. So all of my batter's in the bowl, and I just jiggle and kind of swirl my Bundt pan a little bit. It helps the batter to settle and kind of smooth out, because I like to bake my batter level. And then I do a gentle drop, which helps air come to the top. So I will be baking this in a 325-degree oven. Now there's two ways you can bake this. You could preheat your oven to 325 degrees, or you can start with a cool oven. This is a technique I learned a little while ago, and I've been using it for my Bundt cakes, and they've been coming out perfect. So I'm going to put this in a cool oven and then let it come to temperature with the cake inside the oven. It helps it get a better rise and a better bake. Now this cake will bake for 1 hour and 15 minutes. What I do is I set my timer for 1 hour. I check the cake at that time. If it's not baked, I let it go the additional 15 minutes. If it's ready at that time, I take it out. So set your timer for an hour and check. And sometimes I'll check a little early, because with Bundt cakes, you never quite know when it's gonna be perfectly ready. So let's get this cake in the oven. My cake is cooled and out of the oven, and it's time to make our glaze. So I'm gonna start with my confectioner sugar in a bowl. To that, I'm going to add my fresh blood orange juice. I'm going to add my granulated and my blood orange European or Italian soda. And just take my whisk and just whisk it until it's smooth. The thing with glaze, you can make it as thick or as thin as you like it. If you feel like you want your glaze a little thicker, just add more confectioner sugar. If you want it a little thinner, just add more liquid. I have my glaze at the consistency that I want. So I'm going to just take a kitchen spoon, and I'm just going to drizzle that right over the top of my cake and let it just fall naturally over the sides. I'm just going around the cake. You're gonna get this nice kind of blush color that comes from the soda and also the fresh blood orange juice. And just keep layering it around and letting it fall naturally over the cake. And here we have it, blood orange Bundt cake. Thank you once again for allowing me the time to share one of my recipes with all of you. If you like this content, hit like, subscribe. I love bringing these new and delicious treats to all of you. Stay tuned, more to come right here on The Sweet Spot.